Hey guys, welcome back to Mac Farms. Doing a bit of a special video today. I had mentioned there, I don't know, last week or week before, that I might do a video about the camera equipment that I use, and there was a little bit of interest in that. So I figured for today's Sunday special, that's what we'll do, Mac's camera equipment. Alright, so showing you guys my camera equipment kind of presents a few interesting little difficulties, I guess. So I'm talking to you with my main camera that I usually use, and I'm gonna have to switch to something else to show you guys this camera, and then back and forth. So anyway, I'm gonna switch to my iPhone right now, which I don't usually use, but I do use sometimes. But anyway, we're gonna switch to the iPhone and I'll show you the camera equipment. I'm not really sure exactly the best way to go about this, so I think I'll just show you guys each individual setup and then maybe get into the audio and stuff. Alright, as I said, I'd switch to my iPhone for this. So this is our main camera rig right here. This is my go-to setup. This is what I use for the main camera in most of my videos. This is a Canon M50. I don't know if it says it or not, but that's what it is. It's a Canon M50. It's a mirrorless, yeah, there's M50 right there. M50. It's a mirrorless camera. That alone doesn't give you the wicked video quality or whatever. This here is worth just as much as the camera body itself. So this is a Sigma lens. It's a 1.4 f1.4 aperture, 16 millimeter prime lens. So it doesn't zoom at all. It's just fixed at what they call 16 millimeters. And along with that, we have a broken visor, but we have a ND filter on the end of it. So basically, I'm not sure how to explain it in layman's terms, but what that allows is it's like a pair of variable sunglasses for the camera. So when you open up the aperture on the lens, as far as it'll go, which is 1.4, it lets a ton of light in, and in some cases you may not want to have that much light in, so you will dial it back with your ND filter, which, like I said, acts as a pair of variable sunglasses for the camera. This gives you your shallow depth of field. So in my videos, when my face is perfectly in focus and then the background is blurred out, that's what allows me to do that, is this lens with the wide aperture and then the ND filter to vary the light. So that's how I achieve that with this camera setup. So I also have another lens that I use. I'll show you that when we get into what's in the bag. I don't use it very often. This is kind of the go-to setup. It's got a small rig cage on it, which gives a whole bunch of different mounting points and stuff. And it also gives this rail here, which is important. This rail is what connects to the Gorilla Pod. So this is a Gorilla Pod 5K. This is the aluminum one. I've also had other ones. There's the first one I had for the GoPro, and that one's not even that old. That's like a 3K, I think. They're garbage. Don't ever buy them. If you're gonna buy one, just buy this one. It's the only one that's any good anyway. The 5K. They're like way more money. They're twice as much money as the 3K at least, but they're the only one that lasts. So anyway, this is the universal clamp setup, which will come into play later. The cage has that built in, which means I can go from here like that to other attachments. As far as external microphone goes, we can get into that a little bit more later, but I run the same ones on everything. So yeah, we'll just focus on the camera for now, and that's about it. I think we'll just keep going with the iPhone. It seems to be working all right. All right, so next camera set up is this puppy right here. I think a lot of other YouTube farm channels use something similar to this, but this is a GoPro Hero 8, and it's in a Ulanzi aluminum case with the custom battery cover, so you can run the Hero 7 microphone adapter on it, because I don't have the medium mod. I waited and waited for that to come out, and I got tired of waiting, and then this came up on Amazon, so I bought it. So anyway, this also allows me to run an ND filter, and you can mess around with that a little bit, but this one here, actually you can see it better when you turn it. See how it varies the light getting into the lens. So anyway, I recently switched from running, I always used to run everything in 1080p 60 frames per second, and just recently I switched to going 1080p but 24 frames per second. And with the slower frame rate, you have a slower shutter speed, which lets more light in. And I found with the GoPro running 24 frames per second, it let too much light in. Everything was just blown out. So rather than change the shutter speed, I opted to add an ND filter, which allows me to cut the light a little bit. So I mean, I don't know if I could say that the juice is worth the squeeze when it comes to messing with all this crap, and then you start messing with settings. All right, I kind of lost my train of thought there a little bit. I had to put Real to bed. 2-year-olds don't really like to go to bed that much sometimes. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, these things here. So I really can't say if it's worth the trouble messing around trying to go 24 frames per second and messing with settings on these GoPros. If you have one, you know, I've ran it out of the box, factory settings, and it looks pretty good. So I'm not really sure it's worth the trouble messing around with it. But I don't know, I just can't leave anything well enough alone. And it's not that hard to switch back to our original. I've had a few videos come out kind of wonky on the color, and I tried to salvage them as best I could, but the GoPro, I just find it so hard. Like, when you're looking at this little tiny screen, and then I just find it sometimes looks totally different than how it looked kind of in the field when you get back to the computer. But anyway, I think I've got half decent settings on it now. It seems to be working all right. And as far as the filter, that just screws on there. You can always take it off. So anyway, and same thing, same microphone as is on that, as is on that. That's just the older. I have two of them. That's the older one, and that's a bit newer. But they're the same. So that is actually it for my cameras. That is the only two cameras that I use. I don't use any other cameras anymore. I had others and I switched. So where do we want to go next here? Oh, let's talk about this one. This here is the very first camera I ever used on Mac Farm. Still works, and it actually works pretty good. But I don't know, it just got old. The screen is kind of scratchy on it, or the lens I should say, kind of scratchy on it. But these actually were nice cameras. These were back in the simple days of YouTube, where it just fit in your pocket, you know, just like that. And you want to make a video of something, there you go, camera done. But you know, there's no place for external audio, so you have to try to figure something out with that, or just not bother. Yeah, you know. So anyway, that's what I started making videos on. On this channel, on the Mac Farm videos, probably right from 2014 maybe. And I had another one a little bit older than that before that I used too for a while. And the GoPro, the first GoPro I had, I still have it. I still use it occasionally. It still works. It's a Hero 3 Plus, and yeah, it still works. so I use it a little bit, but not too much. I had a case for it similar to this. It was the same exact setup almost. Well, yeah, let me talk a bit more about this setup. So I talked about the case. It has the usual GoPro mount, but I took that off and I'm just using the 1/4 20 thread, and it actually has a ball head off of that Gorilla Pod, so you can loosen it up and move it which way you want. And now I'm not going to do that one-handed. Put it back. Let's see. Sort of. It's hard to do one-handed. There we go. So yeah, that's that. That screws into this here, which is just a rubber grip handle. It actually works pretty good for talking like that. Blah, 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 blah. Yada, yada. Anyway. And it's got a 95-pound magnet on the bottom with some duct tape on it, just so it doesn't, mess up paint or anything. It sticks pretty good. But yeah, you can stick it to stuff. I'm not really want to stick it to the side of my truck, but you can imagine you can stick it to stuff like that. Oh yeah, it sticks there, kind of. No, not really. Anyway, you can stick it all different kind of places with the magnet part, and you can adjust the camera, different angles and stuff. So I like to use it like that more than anything these days. I don't use it so much as like a point and talk thing anymore, but I do occasionally. And this whole microphone thing comes off pretty quickly. Like that, so that saves a little bit of space and stuff when you're trying to fit it in places, and the whole thing just comes apart pretty, oh yeah, good thing it's a GoPro, pretty quickly, just like that. So yeah, anyway, moving away from the GoPro, let's talk a little bit more about this camera. So well, let's look at this thing first here. So I still have it. I used to have a DJI Osmo, which we used to like to affectionately call the drone camera on a stick. So that was a pretty good unit. Image quality left a little bit to be desired, but it wasn't too bad. It was nice and stable anyway. Microphone quality, you had to run an external mic. It was a bit awkward. You had to run the phone too with the whole setup, which I wasn't really fond of. So I upgraded to this, which is a Ronin, and this here camera just mounts there. It holds the whole thing. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to drop it on the ground, hold it with one hand. But yeah, you just hold it like this and it'll balance and all that stuff, and has this little tripod leg to sit on, or you can just fold her down like that. And I bought this other little attachment for it right there, so you can put the handle on it too and hold it like like that. So cool unit. Don't use it too much. It's kind of awkward to hold. It's heavy. A few other things. So I got another one here in my bag, which we'll show you in a minute when I get into that. So anyway, that's the other accessories for this camera. Sometimes I don't use this for a microphone. Sometimes I use something else, or sometimes I use something in conjunction with it, which is this here little setup right here. So, geez, that magnet's strong. Just got that the other day. So these are Rode Wireless Go mics. This here is what goes on the camera, like so. It plugs in place of that external mic. And this here is what you wear on your body. It's got a magnet, a really strong magnet on this side, so you can put the magnet on the inside of your shirt, and it'll just tuck, and it'll just sit right there. I don't know if you can see me or not, but anyway, it's got a built-in microphone right here, or you can also run a wired mic off of this, or you can do many other crazy things, like you can run one of these microphones through this wirelessly, or if you have like a second camera, you could run the audio from that camera into this camera. It's just, there's all kinds of possibilities. with that. But for me, basically, all I do is I either run it directly on this camera as its only source of audio, or I'll run it with a cable like this. This is a splitter cable. You plug this into the camera like this, and it gives you 2 inputs. It basically splits it into a stereo audio. So you plug your external microphone into one, and you plug your wireless setup into the other, and it'll import it as 2 channels, your left and right channel. So your left channel will be your external or whatever, and the other one will be, you know, the other source of audio. So you can run 2 different sources of audio. I found that works pretty good, even as a source of redundancy. If one, like if this is picking up garbage and this here is picking up pretty good sound, you know, you can kind of mix back and forth and get decent sound out of it in some cases. But that's kind of getting into the more advanced stuff, I guess. That may be too much information, I don't know. So we can do that, and that'll also work. It'll work on this camera, or it'll work on the GoPro. I don't know if the audio splitter will work on the GoPro. I haven't tried that. I've only tried either running one of these or this on the GoPro, and they both do work fine. So also back to this camera. Sometimes I need an extra source of light. So this here just has a cold shoe mount. It'll mount right like that, or it'll mount there or there. This microphone is using up one of them. And this is just a super bright LED light. And let me see, get your welding goggles on here now. So that's super bright, and you can change the temperature of the light from cold to warm, as well as the intensity of the light. So that's a really handy thing in some cases. It's, you know, I don't use it, but there's been times I've needed it, and it's been pretty handy. So that'll set up on this camera too, and I do use that occasionally from time to time. Oh yeah, as I mentioned, this cage has the quick attach slot on it, so I can just switch right to this here. It's got a quick attach plate on it also. The thing with the Ronin is when you put the camera on it, you got to do a whole bunch of weird setup stuff and balancing and that. So with the quick attach plate on it, I can just drop the camera in and go, theoretically, and it usually don't work too bad. Oh look, I actually do. I bring the other gimbal out here. I didn't even remember. But yeah, this is the Osmo. So your phone would hook onto this thing, and yeah, it worked pretty good. Still works actually. So anyway, that's kind of the main camera setup stuff and whatnot. So I guess we will dive into the bag now, because there's all kinds of more treasures and trinkets in there. So let me haul some stuff out of that here first. All right, I didn't quite empty out the bag, but I took quite a bit of the stuff out of it. So the bag itself is a Low Pro, I think it's a BP 250 or something like that. I'm sure it says somewhere on this thing. Here we go. Viewpoint BP 250 AW. So it's got a compartment there, kind of a good size one, and another compartment back here. You can put a laptop in there. So the kind of stuff I left in there is just like extra GoPro mounts. There's a chest mount and a head mount in there, and some other stuff, just more GoPro stuff mainly, and there's a few other duplicates of what I got out, and there's some other stuff in there, cables and whatnot. But this here's a big slot here that holds the drone case. So I guess we'll start with that. That's the easiest thing. Let me see how I can do this now. All right, so here's the drone. You'll notice I have the GoPro sitting on top of it. Here in Canada, we have to have our drones registered with the, I don't know, Transport Canada, I guess it is. And furthermore, you have to have a sticker on the drone or writing on the drone with a Transport Canada registration number, identifying the aircraft, and plus you have to have a license to fly them and everything other, just all kinds of bureaucratic bullshit anyway. So I have that, since I do fly my drone on YouTube and everybody sees that I do that. I felt like it was a good idea. So I have my sticker there on the front of it. I just have the GoPro covering that because it has the number and personal information and my phone number and that kind of stuff. So that's why that's there. But beyond that, this is a DJI Mavic Pro. And this is actually this third drone that I've had. I was going to say second. The first one shouldn't even count as a drone. I didn't think much of it. But anyway, this is the second drone I've had. I like this one a lot better because it fits in such a compact kind of package, you know. So I got a few extra cables and memory cards and filters up there for it. It's actually a pretty nice little drone, quick to set up. Controller there. It doesn't fit my phone. I have to get an adapter later for that. And I got 2 batteries for it. There's yeah, there we go. There's a lens cleaning cloth in there and other stuff. So that just fits right inside there. No problem. So that's my drone in my backpack at all times. So moving on from that, I mentioned I had another kind of gimbal type of thing. This is my other gimbal type of thing. This is a Osmo Mobile 3. So you put your cell phone in that and it kind of acts as like a quicker, easier to use kind of device that I need to charge apparently. And it also has the threaded thing on the bottom. Anyway, that's that. I don't use that very much. I don't use that very much either. That very much either. But yeah, they're good to have because when you want to use them, they are there. So moving on, of course, let's go right here to this. This is my tripod. It just fits right in there in the side, folded up. It's a Manfrotto something compact action, and won't work anyway. Compact action something. Anyway, nice little tripod. I got the quick attach plate here, same as what's on the Ronin and the GorillaPod, and it fits the camera, so there's no other fussing around. It just clips into either whatever one, so that's pretty nice. And another one of those things I don't use a whole lot. Like I said, usually I just use the 5K GorillaPod, and that's kind of my go-to setup, but I do carry these other things with me just in case I need them. And of course we got the other lens. This is actually an older lens with an adapter on it. It's a Sigma 70 to 300 millimeters. This is a zoom lens, this one. And yeah, it's actually pretty good for getting like really far away shots. There's no image stabilization in the lens. So I don't find it very much good for doing video unless it's on a tripod, which is not really very dynamic. But it's good for taking video or for taking pictures, like for thumbnails and stuff like that. So I use it occasionally. It's kind of nifty. So moving on, this here is kind of more for the GoPro. I don't always run the GoPro on that. The nice thing with these here is it takes about 2 seconds to pop the Hero 8 out, and unlike the Hero 3 Plus, you don't need an extra adapter or nothing. It has the prongs built onto the bottom of it, so you can pop it into you know, Hero mount. What I'm trying to say, I got one right here. Let me look. one of these. Pop it onto one of these pretty quickly. Or you can just use the cage if you take off the quick attach plate. But anyway, this here is a ram suction cup. I don't really need this part, but that's the way it worked out. So this is a small rig magic arm which goes into there like so. And the nice thing about these magic arms is you undo this one clasp knob thing, and it allows you to move the entire thing wherever you want, and then the one knob tightens the whole deal up again. So that's solid. So I have 2 suction cups, and I have 2 claws, and I have 3 of these arms, I think. And these are just about the handiest thing you can have for setting up GoPros inside tractor cabs. Every bit of footage I do inside a tractor cab is done with a GoPro. I never use that big camera in the cab. I always use a GoPro, and I always use usually a suction cup on the window with a magic arm in it and the GoPro on the end of it, and you can move the GoPro wherever you want and tighten it down, and it stays there perfectly still and everything. It's just as far as I'm concerned, there's no better way to mount a camera in the cab of a tractor than a setup like that. The only thing I'd like to do is ditch this here short ball assembly and just go right to the magic arm. I just need to get around to making an adapter, because I don't think Ram makes one. Make an adapter to go directly from this here suction cup plate to a 1/4-20 mount. Like these have 1/4-20 on either end, and I just added this ball in place of like this setup. So that is the cat's pajamas for tractor cab mounting, and even outside other stuff mounting, like this here little clamp on my bob. You can clamp it on stuff and position cameras wherever. I don't find them to be particularly strong enough to hold bigger cameras, although one time, and I'm probably not going to do it again, but one time I did use 2 of these to hold the Ronin with the big camera in it off the side of the Rhino. I was driving by beside the Harvester, and it did work, but it was a little sketchy. It'd probably be good enough to use with one of these though. So anyway guys, that's my camera gear. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this long video of camera gear and stuff. I know it's completely off topic, but some of you guys asked for it, and I wanted to do it justice and show you guys exactly what all I use and the different setups and the different possibilities. I know a lot of you guys make your own videos too, and hopefully this inspires some of you or gives some of you some ideas of what you can do or what you can use or whatever. And yeah, that's kind of my camera stuff, I guess. And now you know. Now you'll be looking at those shots that I have in my videos, wondering how exactly I did it, I guess. But yeah, this setup, like I'm using right now, 90% of the time that's all I need. It's the 5K GorillaPod with the M50 Canon and that Sigma lens on it with the little ND filter, and your Rode what are they called? Video Micro is what they are. The Video Micro with the wind muff on it seems to be about all you need, really. And even like the M50, you don't really need a M50 or whatever. Yeah, I think you can get away with a little bit lesser camera than an M50. The M50, I say the M50 like it's like a super high-end camera or something like that. It's not. The M50 is like an entry-level mirrorless camera. So, you know, there's the M50, there's the M6 Mark II, there's the R. I think the new ones just come out as the R5 and R6. Like, so there's all kinds of cameras that are way higher up than the M50, but it's, you know, it's still an expensive camera, and yeah, it's a lot of money. So it's far from a beginner level too at the same time, I guess. But yeah, like I said, there's guys that make lots of videos. They have more subscribers than I do. They get more views than I do and everything else, and all they use is a cell phone. So who says you need fancy camera gears and stuff? But personally, I just enjoy cameras and camera equipment. Oddly enough, I have so many ridiculous interests that doesn't even fit, but camera stuff is one of them. So that's kind of more so what drives all the camera equipment. One thing I will say about the M50 and this setup is it is extremely heavy. Like, you know, obviously I'm a pretty big guy, but it is hard to hold this camera out and talk for any length of time. It gets pretty heavy, and I've seen some videos. It's so funny. Maybe it's not that funny, but anyway, I've seen some people that keep their camera on one of these Ronins all the time, and that's how they talk. They talk to the camera holding that big gimbal out like that. And I don't know how they do it. They must have stronger arms than me, because I couldn't do it. There's no way. So I think, what would be my second choice? My first choice is this camera setup I got right now, because I really do like it. But I think my second choice would have to be the the GoPro setup. I mean, the Hero 8 is awesome. It has great video quality. You can hook up the external microphone. You can run even that little Rode microphone setup. You can put it on your thing right here or whatever, right? And yeah, that would work great. I think that would probably be, if I was a YouTuber and maybe I had a cell phone, that's what I was using right now, and I was looking to upgrade to something else, I think I would look at getting an action camera of some kind, maybe not necessarily a GoPro. I would look at either the Hero 8 or an Insta360 1R or a Osmo Action. I think they are. I'd look at one of those three. I think my next action camera is probably going to be an Insta360 1R, because I'd like to have the option of a action camera with a 1-inch sensor, and I'd like to have the ability to do that 360 video. So that would probably be my choice, with an external microphone on a similar kind of stand setup as I have with that one, because that one works so good. So anyway, guys, that'll be it for today's video. Kind of a weird Sunday special or whatever. Hope you enjoyed it. No, it was long. That's okay. Back to normal programming on Tuesday, I guess it is, hopefully. So anyway, later, guys. Alright, so I totally bypassed this thing. I totally forgot about it. I mentioned the GorillaPod stand that it's on, but I didn't mention this here thing itself. Whoops. So this is a Zoom F1 field recorder. This particular one has a shotgun microphone on it, so this picks up sounds directly in front of it and kind of eliminates sounds that are beside it, kind of thing. I don't use it a whole lot. Occasionally I will, but not very often. I try not to use it because it's a pain in the ass, and the reason it's a pain in the ass is because if you take audio on this, I ran into a couple things. If you take audio on this, you have to manually sync it with your camera. It doesn't do it automatically. Like if I run an external microphone on the camera, if I run my little Zoom setup or whatever, it automatically syncs with the camera. It goes through the camera and it's automatically synced. This one here, it's external, which in some ways it's good because it's redundant of the camera. It's another source of audio. You can run it through the camera also, by the way, but it'll create a redundant source of audio. So potentially if something happens in the camera, you still have that external source, which is a good thing, but and then the bad side is you have to sync it manually. And what I was running into was a lag. Like the audio on the camera would go, and it wouldn't end up at the very end of it, even halfway through. After a little bit of playing through, it wouldn't be synced up anymore, and you have to kind of, yeah, it was a mess. Anyway, so I don't use these very much anymore, because they take some fiddling with to make work. But the other option with one of these is you can take this shotgun part off of it, and it's just this part here from here down. I'm not going to bother doing it. And then you can plug in like a wired lav mic to the bottom here. So you can put this in your pocket or on your belt, and then you can run a mic, you know, up your back or whatever, and tuck it in on your shirt. And I used that for quite a while too. But then I used to have 2 of these. I sold one of them. I just kept this one because I wanted to have the option of a shotgun microphone. So this here has been sitting here in the back like this the whole time I've been talking, recording audio, just as a backup in case something happens to the audio on the iPhone or whatever. I'll have something as a backup to use, just in case. So I don't use it very often, but I do have it. I don't usually carry it in my backpack. I usually just leave it in my room. If I need it, I can grab it, kind of thing. So I just wanted to mention that because I totally forgot about it. And looking at this here, I totally forgot about this too. I keep these in my bag also. Come on, focus. There we go. I keep these in my bag also. They're just cleaning wipes for the lenses and stuff. So anyway, guys, that's it.